Alrighty then, it's time for a Jungle Jacks game, and this one is using the new Trinity Force. Which one? And also, I had quite a bit of fun getting this game together because I had my fans in my Discord fight against each other. I pitted them 5 versus 5, and I took the winners to play with me. I was just having a little bit of fun at their expense. Anyways, same runes and masters as you'd expect on Jacks. Attack damage red, attack speed quints, armor yellow, magic resistance blues, and I believe it was 18, 12, 0 masteries. Now, look at the team compositions of both teams. My team is very strong mid to late game. And the enemy teams is around late to mid game. They need to crush my team early on or else they stand no chance. So my goal in this game is to make sure the Twitch, although I will take opportunities if they come like right here to gank the Shen. My job, even though I'm a Jax who wants to just kind of farm, is to make sure the Twitch either gets super fed or at least doesn't get crushed in lane. I need to keep the enemy team sort of down and leveled. Don't let them get too far ahead or our late game will never be allowed to activate. I'm mentioning this because it's something a lot of players don't understand when they're playing the games, where they don't analyze the enemy team composition and they're like, oh look, the enemy team has Vayne, Jax, Leona, and then the other late game kind of shit. Let's stall the game out against them, not realizing that that's probably the opposite of what you want to do. But it happens a lot. It happens way too much, and players sort of just seemingly lose just by the nature of the champions they're fighting because they didn't bother to squelch that when they had the chance. So keep that in mind. I am trying to cheat as much as possible. You saw that a little while ago. I stole lane experience, shared experience with Maokai. That's the tactic. Me and Twitch need to get off the early game and make sure that we are able to crush people. At least take some cheap kills every now and then. Although here, there, I probably shouldn't have gone in after my teammate had died. I got killed and Maokai picked up the kill, so it still went 1 for 1. Then Maokai goes a little ham and almost kills the victor, but still. Unfortunately, my bottom laners are also having a rather rough time. So yeah, fortunately for us here, when they go for the dragon, they get a little bit too splintered off and they get the Shen and the victor get caught, so it's an easy peasy kill. Now I also got to mention one thing. Trinity Force as a jungle Jax is not a very cost effective item. Normally on jungle Jax you'd want to go for something more with easier components that just give you straight out power, or they don't give you some like some effect that you're paying gold for, because you just want to farm, you just want to get big and whatnot and take the occasional kill. And Trinity Force is a little bit of a deviation from a lot of your items. Also, I want to point out that I'm not upgrading Blood Razor first because honestly it's not one of the better ones to upgrade, although you do want to upgrade it at some point. Although I actually thought after playing this a little while, since I was going over Trinity Force, I should have probably taken Warrior instead. Now the normal build with Jungle Jax is taking Blood Razor, but not building it first. It's usually like Guinsu's Rage Blade, then back to Blood Razor, then getting yourself a Gunblade. In this one, I'm going Trinity Force, not because I think it's better, but because I wanted to try it, to see if it could be better. So I didn't know for sure yet. I just wanted to test it out because you got to rework, and I wanted to see how efficient it could be, just by using it. Because sometimes you can plan out the math and whatnot, but until you take it into the field and sort of practice it and demonstrate it, you won't really know for sure. Anyways, you can see the game is rather careful on both ends, although both teams have died several times. It is a rather slow game. However, whenever an opportunity arises, both teams seem to sort of collapse against their opponents. Here, we caught the Amumu way before the enemy team could do anything, so Amumu was just hesitant to really commit to a fight because, again, there was nothing. His teammates were too far away. And I gotta point that out. It's gonna happen several more times, and that's something a lot of players also don't realize. So I gotta give kudos to Amumu for that. Some players will do dumb shit like that where they get caught off guard. Let's say they're on a Amumu, they get caught off guard, and all of a sudden like, oh, I need to protect myself. Maybe I'll take this chance, and they'll just burn their ultimate to CC their opponent to give themselves a chance to run away. That's a really bad idea to do, because 1, it doesn't guarantee you'll survive. 2, your ultimate is on a dangerously high cooldown. Sorry, my voice broke a bit. A dangerously high cooldown, and it was just using it for escaping, unless if you didn't really have to, like just using it out of pure, knee-jerk reaction, is ridiculously huge detriment that could screw you over. Hell, even in that situation where you're getting attacked, if your teammates are showing up to help you out and you just hold on your ultimate for the greatest effect, it might turn that into a complete 180 and you'll come out ahead on that. It happened. Yeah, funny fact. If you're playing Overwatch, you know this happens when the Mercy players just use their ultimate to revive one person, or the Lucio uses his ultimate to save himself when he's getting attacked, rather than just holding out for him when he respawns for the team to use some big old push. Either way, we catch off the Zyra, we kill her. Look, the Amumu wants to initiate, but he doesn't have any worthwhile targets. He backs off. He realizes this is not a good idea. His teammates had already backed off, so they wouldn't be able to do anything. And me and myself and Twitch went in the back line. He could not grab anybody worthwhile. If he had burned his ultimate, not only would he get some really poor targets, the Maokai and the Tarek and perhaps even the Lissandra, but his teammates wouldn't have been able to do anything. So he held off he held off on it for a future team fight right here. Although it also kind of didn't work out for him. They saw that I had left and they took a chance, but unfortunately their damage just isn't high enough because of the farm that some of us are getting, and because of Maokai. Honestly, Maokai is playing a big deal in this. We're able to just sort of dominate these fights. One thing I actually got to point out about Maokai that I love, and I've talked about it before, is his ultimate is insanely powerful, especially in the early game, because of just how much damage it straight out neuters from the enemy team. So Maokai is pretty damn good for a late team composition, although his late game prowess just transforms him into a rather sponge and a support champion rather than, the really abusive tank he is in top lane. Anyhow, like, I just want to point out those little facts there. You've seen me in other games, in other fights before, where I hold my flash or I hold my ultimate as long as possible, just to make sure I don't get I don't waste my ultimate or my flash needlessly. Like, if I'm gonna use my flash, I either have to think that, or at least calculate that I might be able to survive, although sometimes I will die, just to make sure I don't put the damn thing on a long cooldown for the next time I show up and I don't actually have it when I can use it. Anyways, Amumu tries to initiate at me, and you can see I just fucking annihilate him. I beat him to death, flashing in and finish him off. He burns his flash, Victor comes in. I try to just sort of man fight him, but I had no other choice. Might as well try to beat him to death. So you can see though, my damage is ridiculously high at this point. I only have the Trinity Force. It's there, but I'm sort of starting to think to myself, would have I been able to take more advantage of the Blood Razor if I just gone the Gunblade and the Queen 2's Rage Blade? Or should I build Warriors just to give myself more burst with the Trinity Force? So, yeah, at this point I am thinking that my build is rather inefficient. I could have done better. But even so, Jax is Jax and deals a shitload of damage and just sort of ramps up ridiculously quick. And because I'm able to obtain a lot of farm that a lot of junglers wouldn't normally be able to get, due to a combination of stealing it from my laners or from just being able to unadulteratedly farm the shit out of everything in solo lanes as well, I'm pretty damn huge. Also, I got 5 kills, so that's nothing to scoff at. I'm way more ahead than a jungler in my position should probably have been. So just keep that in mind as well in the analysis. I'm pretty big, pretty farm, pretty fat. So either way, here I go for the Shen, and I get ridiculously greedy at this point. I'm thinking of myself as God. I didn't expect the Mumu to be here, and even then I thought maybe if he attacked me I could probably beat him to death. Unfortunately I couldn't. I thought I'd be able to, just tower dive Shen and then scamper off. So it ended up not being really worth of a dive, because I ended up getting a bounty, I believe. Anyways, right now, I don't know what the Zyra was thinking, but she gets too close to the Maokai and he's able to initiate. He's such a poor target for his opponents, but they're attacking him. They're forcing themselves. They just have to remove him from their teammates, but they can't do anything. And the Amumu at the same time had burned his ultimate on me. Like, at that point, I think he was just desperate to bring me down, but because he burned his ultimate, he couldn't use it against him despite the fact that they were really clumped up. Although it might not have had the best effect since, his teammates were too busy fighting Maokai and they were pretty much separated by him, still, not having his ultimate up was pretty detrimental in that team fight. And that's because he blew it rather needlessly on me. He could have probably just beaten me to death with his Q and his tears and shit. So keep that in mind. It's just kind of improper use of ultimates and whatnot. I gave him credit initially, but that last one was kind of iffy. Either way, hooray for Jax. This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet. I've also made a Patreon now, and if you wish to support me through that medium, then I welcome it.